At this, one swore and the other laughed, and before they had settled what to do, I was past them and round the corner. And then, like a giddy fool as I was, I needs must give them a startler, the whoop of an owl, done so exactly as John Fry had taught me, and echoed by the roof so fearfully, that one of them dropped the tinder box, and the other caught up his gun and cocked it, at least as I judged by the sounds they made. And then, too late, I knew my madness. For if either of them had fired, no doubt but what all the village would have arisen and rushed upon me. However, as the luck of the matter went, it proved for my advantage; for I heard one say to the other, "Curse it, Charlie, what was that? It scared me so, I have dropped my box; my flint is gone, and everything. Will the brimstone catch from your pipe, my lad?" "My pipe is out, Phelps, ever so long. Damn it, I am not afraid of an owl, man. Give me the lanthorn, and stay here. I'm not half done with you yet, my friend." "Well said, my boy, well said. Go straight to Carver's, mind you. The other sleepy heads will be snoring, as there is nothing up tonight. No dallying now under Captain's window. Queen will have naught to say to you, and Carver will punch your head into a new wick for your lanthorn." "Will he though? Two can play at that." And so, after some rude jests and laughter, and a few more oaths, I heard Charlie, or at any rate somebody, coming toward me with a loose and not too sober footfall. As he reeled a little in his gait, and I would not move from his way 1 inch after his talk of Lorna, but only longed to grasp him, if common sense permitted it, his braided coat came against my thumb, and his leathern gaiters brushed my knee. If he had turned or noticed it, he would have been a dead man in a moment; but his drunkenness saved him. So I let him reel on unharmed, and thereupon it occurred to me that I could have no better guide, passing as he would exactly where I wished to be, that is to say, under Lorna's window. Therefore I followed him without any especial caution, and soon I had the pleasure of seeing his form against the moonlit sky. Down a steep and winding path, with a handrail at the corners, such as they have at Ilfracombe, Master Charlie tripped along; and indeed there was much tripping, and he must have been an active fellow to recover as he did; and after him walked I, much hoping, for his own poor sake, that he might not turn and espy me. But Bacchus, of whom I read at school, with great wonder about his meaning, and the same I may say of Venus, that great deity, preserved Charlie, his pious worshipper, from regarding consequences. So he led me very kindly to the top of the meadow land, where the stream from underground broke forth, seething quietly with a little hiss of bubbles. Hence I had fair view and outline of the robbers' township, spread with bushes here and there, but not heavily overshadowed. The moon, approaching now the full, brought the forms in a manner forth, clothing each with character, as the moon more than the sun does to an eye accustomed. I knew that the captain's house was first, both from what Lorna had said of it, and from my mother's description, and now again from seeing Charlie halt there for a certain time, and whistle on his fingers, and hurry on, fearing consequence. The tune that he whistled was strange to me, and lingered in my ears as having something very new and striking and fantastic in it. And I repeated it softly to myself, while I marked the position of the houses and the beauty of the village. For the stream, in lieu of any street, passing between the houses, and affording perpetual change, and twinkling, and reflections moreover by its sleepy murmur, soothing all the dwellers here, this, and the snugness of the position, walled with rock, and spread with herbage, made it look, in the quiet moonlight, like a little paradise. And to think of all the inmates there, sleeping with good consciences, having plied their useful trade of making others work for them, enjoying life without much labour, yet with great renown. Master Charlie went down the village, and I followed him carefully, keeping as much as possible in the shadowy places, and watching the windows of every house, lest any light should be burning. As I passed Sir Ensor's house, my heart leaped up, for I spied a window, higher than the rest, above the ground, and with a faint light moving. This could hardly fail to be the room wherein my darling lay, for here that impudent young fellow had gazed while he was whistling. And here my courage grew tenfold, and my spirit feared no evil. For lo, if Lorna had been surrendered to that scoundrel Carver, she would not have been at her grandfather's house, but in Carver's accursed dwelling. Warm with this idea, I hurried after Charleworth Doone, being resolved not to harm him now, unless my own life required it. And while I watched from behind a tree, the door of the farthest house was opened, and sure enough it was Carver's self who stood bareheaded and half undressed in the doorway. I could see his great black chest and arms by the light of the lamp he bore. "Who wants me this time of night?" he grumbled in a deep gruff voice. Any young scamp prowling after the maids shall have sore bones for his trouble." "All the fair maids are for thee, aren't they, Master Carver?" Charlie answered, laughing. "We young scamps must be well content with coarser stuff than thou wouldst have." "Would have, ay, and will have," the great beast muttered angrily. "I bide my time, but not very long. Only one word for thy good, Charlie. I will fling thee senseless into the river if ever I catch thy girl face there again." "Mayhap, Master Carver, it is more than thou couldst do. But I will not keep thee, thou art not pleasant company to night. All I want is a light for my lanthorn, and a glass of schnapps if thou hast it." "What is become of thy light, then? Good for thee I am not on duty." "A great owl flew between me and Phelps, as we watched beside the culvern, and so scared was he at our fierce bright eyes, that he fell and knocked the light out." "Likely tale or likely lie, Charles. We will have the truth to morrow. Here, take thy light, and be gone with thee. All virtuous men are in bed now." "Then so will I be, and why art thou not? Ha! Have I earned my schnapps now?" "If thou hast paid a bad debt. There is too much in thee already. Be off! My patience is done with." Then he slammed the door in the young man's face, having kindled his lanthorn by this time, and Charlie went up to the watch place again, muttering as he passed me, "Bad look out for all of us when that surly old beast is captain. No gentle blood in him, no hospitality, not even pleasant language, nor a good new oath in his frowsy pate. I've a mind to cut the whole of it, and but for the girls I would so." My heart was in my mouth, as they say, when I stood in the shade of Lorna's window, and whispered her name gently. The house was of one story only, as the others were, with pine ends standing forth the stone, and only two rough windows upon that western side of it, and perhaps both of them were Lorna's. The Doones had been their own builders, for no one should know their ins and outs, and of course their work was clumsy. As for their windows, they stole them mostly from the houses round about, but though the window was not very close, I might have whispered long enough before she would have answered me, frightened as she was, no doubt by many a rude overture. And I durst not speak aloud, because I saw another watchman posted on the western cliff, and commanding all the valley. And now this man, having no companion for drinking or for gambling, espied me against the wall of the house, and advanced to the brink, and challenged me. "Who are you there? Answer! 1, 2, 3, and I fire at thee." The nozzle of his gun was pointed full upon me, as I could see, with the moonlight striking on the barrel. He was not more than 50 yards off, and now he began to reckon. Being almost desperate about it, I began to whistle, wondering how far I should get before I lost my windpipe; and as luck would have it, my lips fell into that strange tune I had practised last, the one I had heard from Charlie. My mouth would scarcely frame the notes, being parched with terror; but to my surprise the man fell back, dropped his gun, and saluted. Oh, sweetest of all sweet melodies! That tune was Carver Doone's passport, as I heard long afterwards, which Charleworth Doone had imitated for decoy of Lorna. The sentinel took me for that vile Carver, who was like enough to be prowling there for private talk with Lorna, but not very likely to shout forth his name if it might be avoided. The watchman, perceiving the danger perhaps of intruding on Carver's privacy, not only retired along the cliff, but withdrew himself to good distance. Meanwhile he had done me the kindest service, for Lorna came to the window at once to see what the cause of the shout was, and drew back the curtain timidly. Then she opened the rough lattice, and then she watched the cliff and trees, and then she sighed very sadly. "Oh, Lorna, don't you know me?" I whispered from the side, being afraid of startling her by appearing over suddenly. Quick though she always was of thought, she knew me not from my whisper, and was shutting the window hastily when I caught it back and showed myself. "John!" she cried, yet with sense enough not to speak aloud. "Oh, you must be mad, John." "As mad as a March hare," said I, "without any news of my darling. You knew I would come, of course you did." "Well, I thought, perhaps, you know. Now, John, you need not eat my hand. Do you see they have put iron bars across?" "To be sure. Do you think I should be contented, even with this lovely hand, but for these vile iron bars? I will have them out before I go. Now, darling, for one moment, just the other hand, for a change, you know." So I got the other, but was not honest, for I kept them both, and felt their delicate beauty trembling as I lay them to my heart. "Oh, John, you will make me cry directly," she had been crying long ago, "if you go on in that way.